To end our Friday and to end our February, we are now accompanied by a power woman, another power woman from New York. She is a Filipino-American political figure, Angela Aquino. She is running for public advocate in New York City, and she joins us today to tell us all about her interesting story. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Thank you, Gretchen, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here at Morning Matters.
I guess my first question is, you are a Filipino.
Yes, I am.
You are running for public advocate, which is the equivalent of vice mayor of New York City. Are you allowed to do that?
I am an American citizen now. So I have been, I have my American citizenship now. So although
that's all that's required to run for public office.
You have to at least have 7 years to be American citizen, which I'm above 7 years.
Okay, so
yeah.
So what brings you to politics? I mean, tell us all about your body of work and what led you to this moment that you decided to say to yourself that I'm going to run, because I believe this came before the offer of former Governor Andrew Cuomo to have you as a running mate. So it was a personal decision on your part.
Yes. So what really led me to run for public office, for public advocate, is basically my life experience. I have been an advocate for almost 2 decades. I am also instrumental on our landmark case, Aquino versus Aquino, wherein we struck down a 300-year-old law and we were able to get rights for children born out of wedlock here in the Philippines, which is now 70%. So we won a unanimous decision en banc, and we changed a lot of lives. And from that, from that achievement, I felt like I'm humbled to be able to pay it forward and to serve and use my experience in public service. Public advocate is a very special position. It's the least political, least partisan of all the positions in public office. And just being a lifelong advocate, I know that I have the ingredients to be able to serve those who are marginalized.
But why not here? Why in New York?
Because I'm a New Yorker.
You had that case here in the Philippines.
Yes.
That means you were coming back and forth to
Correct.
the country, right?
So to simply put, I basically exiled in New York, and I became American because of this. I got this inherited, so I had to somewhat, make up for that loss, and I had to go to New York, just like a lot of people who are sometimes suffering from their homeland. They go somewhere and they try to make up a second chance or make up a life there. So I became an American, and I do have a son who is Jewish descent, and we're all based in New York, so we're definitely New Yorkers. And right now, the New York City is also home for many, many immigrants, and my representation in public office speaks a lot of what the opportunity has for New Yorkers who's willing to go through the system properly. The option of being a part of something very special and very important is available. So, so that's why I think my presence, being a candidate, I'm actually the first Filipino to ever run in a citywide race. So meaning all 5 boroughs.
Kasi may mga tumakbo noon na Pilipino, pero anong posisyon yun? I remember in another state, may tumakbong Pilipino eh.
I think mayor.
Oh, mayor. Pero kayo yung
in Hawaii, I think.
First full-blooded Filipino.
Yes.
Oo, kasi dito sa Pilipinas, alam ko kailangan natural born, no? In the US, you just have to be a citizen.
Correct.
Iba ang kanilang
So yes, actually, that is now what we're trying to, to be able to be well represented, right? Right now, especially, they're trying to find immigrants also who are able to represent. It's very important that they have the right representation, meaning who went through, difficulties, who had to fix their papers, who knows how the discrepancies between the salaries of a minority and somebody who's not going through the system properly is very important. My contribution on my past and what I had to go through to become legal to become an American and to make the system and work for the system and contribute to America is important.
Well, you've been described as a conservative Republican, and as you were talking about your stance on immigration, I do remember some of the debates we've had over whether this Trump administration will kick out Filipinos. At ang sinasabi sa atin ng ambassador, na kapag legal naman yung papeles mo, ay wala naman mangyayari sa'yo. Sinabi pa nga niya, pag hindi ka nag-commit ng crime and you stay low, you probably be fine, and then we'll work on your papers dahan-dahan. We also had some tell us that there are Filipinos who don't like the way the other immigrants have come in, illegally. So, do you mirror President Trump's stance on immigration? Where are you on that?
So it's very important we don't mix everything up and classify all immigrants one and the same, such as being criminals or someone who is illegal. First of all, okay, so there's a difference. The asylum seekers came through the borders through a sanctuary policy, meaning they were not vetted, they were not screened. They don't. People receiving them in the other end don't know who these people are. So right now, we'll discuss the asylum seekers first. There are about 300 children, right, lost right now who came in who came into America through the sanctuary, using the sanctuary policies. They're missing, right? So they're missing. They claim that these kids were unaccompanied crossing the border. Do you believe that children come across the border unaccompanied? That doesn't make sense. Are they able to survive 60 days? So simply put, they are trafficked in by professional, organized criminals. So that is why we need to be able to protect that we are not used, that America is not used as a basket catcher for being trafficked. These children being trafficked. So we have to protect that system and these children so that they don't have to experience all this brutality as they try to seek for a better life. Right?
So would you let these children in to the United States?
I would, if they're already in, I would make sure that these children, first and foremost, are safe. Right? From the cartels that brought them in. So we want to make sure that they're not used in any shape or form and abused once they come to America. The problem is, when they get here, they already went through so much. In 60 days of travel, being smuggled in by cartels. What do you think is happening to them in those travels? So we cannot be an option, or America cannot be an option to that. So that is why when it comes to this...
But I believe they're also trying to escape the culture of violence over down south, right? That's why they're heading to America to seek for a better life. And in the process of denying that, where do they go?
There is a way of doing things properly. If in the process of being safe, you're putting yourself in danger, we have to weigh. You want to escape just to be in danger again while you're on traveling here. And then when you're here, the kids are missing. And this is not something that is Googled. I speak to people working in asylum shelters, and this is the actual report. So we have to think there are other ways on where we can help these children suffering in those countries wherein they don't have to risk themselves exposing or selling themselves to cartels. Right? So it's very important.
What is the alternative? So what do you do with the children then?
Well, we have to explore this option. Right now, we can send help. We can help. We can send troops if it is a high conflict, and American can send different kinds of help that they don't have to risk themselves and keep them safe in those areas. If indeed their lives are in danger there, and America sees that it makes sense to help these people, they can stay there and we can come in and help them. And it's not the first time we're going to do that. We always come in and extend and help and come to a country and send help.
What is the situation of Filipinos in New York? I mean, after all the policies of President Trump, kamusta mga Pilipino?
So this is a very, very special topic. That's why we have to learn how to separate it. Filipinos have no track records there of being criminals or cartels, or that this is not what we're talking about. Filipinos are known there to be very good workers, very loving, very caring. We are known, during COVID, Filipino nurses gave up so many lives in New York City.
I think there's a range of about 300,000 illegal immigrants from our own country in the United States. That's what I remember. But in New York, do we have a lot of that? Those Filipinos, they're working there without documents, and what happens to them now?
So for my advocacy, we did take a good look at this. I think that the Filipinos, if they're willing to go through the system of being legal and having their a pathway towards legal citizenship and being an American, we should be able to provide a path of them. They're not criminals. Actually, as a matter of fact, they have contributed so many things. We are entrusted by their elderly. We are entrusted by their children, with their children's. So I think that we are very trustworthy. That gesture alone says that we are kind. I don't think President Trump has any objection with helping Filipinos, especially given the good track record of Filipinos. And so is true with other immigrants who's providing and very contributing very well to the American economy and society.
Okay. Have you said yes to former Governor Andrew Cuomo? Former Governor Andrew Cuomo is a Democrat and you are a Republican. Why do you think were you the choice? And how did this partnership come together? So is it confirmed already?
So, though that time that the camp of Andrew Cuomo reached out, though it is true, I was a Republican. I am now currently a registered Democrat. So yeah, so we during the last day of that we can file our party affiliation, we switched. So this is, yeah, I know you're surprised, but this is
what made you make the jump?
On the last day, I was approached by Democrats, and we weighed the options on why I should run as a Democrat. I think what really drew me closer was the group of single moms and the group of domestic violence survivors who were going to vote during the primaries as Democrats. They were there, the people, and they asked me to join so they can vote and they can choose somebody who is a Democrat, who really spoke and stood up for them. And they said, so the single moms and the domestic violence really did a big part because this is who I really want to help.
But you were described earlier as a conservative Republican. So paano yun? How do we make that distinction? And I also read that, you kind of mirror those disillusioned with progressive governance. Is that correct?
No, so first of all, I think right now, there's no time for partisanship. There's no rule that Democrats and Republicans cannot work together. I think as a matter of fact, this now is the moment that we really need to work together and put those partisanship labeling aside, because this is not just partisan issue. This is a real life humanitarian issue, and we have to overlook whatever party affiliation we were, but what matters is the now and how we're going to move forward, and the values that we bring and how we're able to bring that to the table so that everybody can benefit from it.
Okay, so have you said yes to Andrew Cuomo?
I reached out personally to Governor Cuomo and I thanked him for the opportunity.
Paano ba kayo napili?
So they gave me a call. And then said, how's your campaign? And I said, thank you, very good. And said, we're from the camp of Governor Cuomo. Would you like to join the slate? And then they said, you seem nice. And that's how, it was just a very casual call. I don't know how they picked me.
Okay, let's go into your role. Let's dive in a little deeper to that. You are running for public advocate. For Filipinos, hindi po natin maintindihan yan kasi parang mukha kang nag-advocate lang for something.
Okay.
But what does it really mean when you put that word in public office?
So a public advocate basically represents and makes sure that there is equality, that there is accessibility for residents, New York residents, right? So we advocate for the marginalized when it comes to housing, healthcare. So disabled, special needs, housing, social services, special, we say yung medyo na dehado sa buhay. Yun. So we're very, dehado meaning, we're a little bit the underdogs, right? So that's our job, to advocate so that their needs and priorities can be heard.
In sessions, so you represent them in short.
Correct. So I'm able to introduce legislations. I also serve as an ombudsman. If there is a government sector that is not functioning well, for let's say example, kids with special needs, they're not the autistic children, they're not getting the services that they need over at some community in Queens because there's not enough budget. So I will call attention to this and have an investigation and make recommendations.
And what for you are the top 3 problems of New York City that you can easily find yourself addressing, or what would you like to address as the top 3?
Top 3, I think the no bail law. So right now we have an uptick because of this no bail law, wherein criminals are caught but then they're released. So that doesn't make sense. And then because they're allowed, they're released for certain reasons, like simply because they can't afford bail, so they just let them go. That causes like some kind of just doing things all over again. They're caught and they're after their targets again. So that's one thing I want to be able to make amendments on that. Number 2, it would be like the corruption that's going on. We want to make sure, as a public advocate, it's also my job parang to be an ombudsman. So I want to make sure that the budget is efficient and going to where it's supposed to go, because if it does, then it will change the lives of others. Also as a single mom, I want to be able to work on vouchers for private schools and for religious schools, as well as after schools.
Okay. It seems to be a tall order, what you're running for, as ombudsman, watchdog, chief complaint officer, chief public advocate. Where are you getting your political capital and political backing?
Well, for public advocate, it's very important that it's grassroots, right? So we do fundraising based on like citizens and residents of New York City. It's going to be very grassroots, and we also have to think that we have to be very like creative as per how we present our platform. And so a lot of collaborations.
Meron
like,
na ba kayong slogan ni Andrew Cuomo? Kasi nga, he's a Democrat. You were a former Republican, now you're a Democrat. I mean, meron na ba kayong naisip to put 2 and 2 together?
Right now, no.
Wala pa. But we're in the early stages.
Very early. And but I do believe that this has a lot to do with the domestic violence survivors, and as well as the single moms. And this is what a lot of our grassroots campaigns are coming from. And this is where a lot of our volunteers are coming from.
But,
and that's the support.
I believe former Governor Cuomo also has issues on sexual harassment in the past. How do you reconcile that? You said you are a domestic violence survivor, and he had his own controversies. Did you sort that out first before saying yes to him?
I read the issue, and basically a lot there were some allegations which eventually was withdrawn. So this was his that was basically the summary of it. And before moving forward, I actually spoke to some domestic violence survivors and the single moms. So listen, if his experience and his comeback and his, if he's making a comeback, I believe he wants to really make it right and gain that political and the trust of the public. I think this would be a wonderful opportunity for him, in contrast to those allegations from women. I think this is a great opposite, helping out single moms and domestic violence survivors.
So you're there to push that forward.
Yes,
okay.
for them.
How about for the Filipino community? This is a great opportunity if you do win to represent. Have you thought of legislation to help the Filipinos in New York?
I think the top priority there would be the immigration. I want to be able to advocate and lobby and present the case to President Trump that the Filipinos and all the good contributions that they have given to this society and appeal that they are able to be given an opportunity to stay in America and a pathway for legal citizenship. I think that we have to create a balance on what's happening, and we have to choose good, vetted New York City residents and good immigrants who are contributing, and that's who we choose to become a part of the American.
Could you tell us a little bit more about demographic of Filipinos in New York? I mean, anong trabaho nila? Ano yung age range? Where do they live? I mean, sino yung mga Pilipino na mamalagi doon?
So it's a very diverse, it's a very diverse Filipino. So we meet them. There's doctors. A lot of us are in healthcare, and this is one very big focus now because we have baby boomers who's going to get into becoming senior citizens, and Filipinos are very well known in being very good in taking care of the elderly, and just being there prolongs the life of the elderly. So for New Yorkers who wants their parents to live longer, they only trust the Filipinos.
Filipino nangangalaga
yes.
sa kanila.
And for the New Yorkers who will only also just trust.
Could you sense a sense of panic sa mga Pilipino because of the Trump administration, or is it the other way around that the Filipino community? I mean, you already said that it is a very diverse population, but with you going around, what is your sense and of the acceptance of the Trump administration's policies?
So first of all, we have to be clear that President Trump is in the federal level. So whatever he says will pretty much be it, because the federal overlooks the local. So it is very important what President Trump's position is based on that. What we have to do is to be able to advocate that President Trump, can you please work on it so that good immigrants and good New York residents are able to have a pathway. We have to advocate.
Has he shown openness to that?
Yes. In his recent interviews, it's all about, who we want to be in this country. And this is definitely something that is a writing on the wall.
Well, another thing that's controversial with President Trump coming in is him stopping foreign aid. Although he has exempted military aid to the Philippines, maraming naapektuhan, katulad yung tulong ng US aid sa education sector ng Pilipinas, tulong nila sa health sector, even women's rights. Like it or not, we do get a lot of funding from the United States. I mean, do you think that was the right move? I mean, to cut off foreign aid?
So as you have probably been monitoring, foreign aid that was cut off were the ones that appear to be wrapped in corruption. So we also have to say, we can't just be like, hey, you stopped it. We also have to take a look on these recipients, if indeed the correct recipients and the right it's going to the right beneficiaries. So if it has been flagged, we also have to explore, wait, maybe they were pocketing it. That's why it's been, or like, as you know, that there were like, things that were very questionable. Like, so I think right now this pause should just be a reassessment of where it's really going to, if it's up to par with the proper values, or if it's going to correctly to the proper recipients.
Oh, we hope it's just a pause, as there are those whose lives depend on it. Where do we find you and your campaign? Do you want to follow you?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. My name's Angela Aquino, NYC, and I'm available, and my information is available for on New York City Campaign Board. You can find my profile there, and I am also for Angela for NYC. That's my website, and you can send us a message.
We have a New York City public advocate candidate, Angela Aquino, who is also doing her own candidacy in the time of the midterm campaigning here in the Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from the United States.